Welcome back. We're here for another episode of Culture Chat. Andy and Rachel with Be Kind Life. We are thrilled today to welcome Devi Cavitt Razo of Aurorum Leadership, creator of the Aurora platform. And platforms and tech and all the things is what our topic will be about today. Everybody's talking about AI, how that's impacting their workforce, their workplace, their skills, a little bit of fear, maybe a lot of bit of fear. We get the question, well, this is going to replace coaching, so how's that all going to work? But would love to just open up the conversation and start with Devi. What are you seeing, hearing? What are your personal thoughts on AI and how it's helping or hindering the workforce?
All right. Well, I've been working in organizational development, coaching, leadership development for the last 10 years and my entire career in human development. And I'm not, you could not call me by any stretch of the imagination a tech person, but I'm tech savvy. But AI has really captured me in a certain way. Like I'm really sort of, I love it, many things about it. And I'm it's becoming clearer and clearer what it can do and what it can't do in my view. Um, I think that, yes, there's a lot of talk about will it replace coaching? And I've seen some very interesting things going on with coaching, with using AI for coaching now. And I also have 3 Gen Z daughters who, they're using it for advice,
Yeah.
right? It's very interesting.
How good's the
But in
advice?
terms of what is the advice?
How good's the advice they're getting? What would you say is the caliber of the advice?
Well, it's not bad. It's pretty generic.
Yeah.
So I want to make a distinction between a curated AI system and a large language model that's connected to the internet and connected to Reddit and Facebook and comments coming from every domain and that isn't really drawing upon a specific set of knowledge. So we have done some experiments in my home about, okay, yeah, this is your question about this. Let's put that into ChatGPT, and then let's put it into Aurora, which is the AI system that I developed for Aurum, which, just a little side note about it, it's after 10 years of program development and curriculum development and design and workshops and really creating transformational programs. I mean, so many beyond incredibly weirdly prolific. We've created an AI system that draws upon all of the work and the models and the theories that are underlying the work that we do at Aurum. And we've created Orba. She is our AI agent who has access to all of this information. And we've set her up as a coach within organizations. We've set her up as a curriculum designer. We've set her up as a place to go for advice when you have something going on with a team member or a boss or you as a leader have something going on. So we've done some experiments with plugging the question into ChatGPT and plugging them into Orba. I have to say, what comes out of Orba has a certain tone that is heartful, that is has a certain context to it. It's a lot less generic. It's really because my work is so much about guiding people toward authenticity, toward heart, toward vulnerability, and showing up as a leader with all of those qualities and showing up. I mean, Rachel, you and I talked about this in our first conversation that leadership development is human development, period.
Yeah.
So Orba system that I designed is really, it's all leadership context and organizational context, but it's about human beings and our own growth and transformation and our relationships. So I would
love
say
how
I would
you
take
say that. It comes out with heart. It's coming out with heart. Like you feel seen. You feel heard, and some of that a Orba can replace, and some of that they can't. Right?
some of it can't. I mean, what I'm seeing as I said, I didn't start out as a tech person, but we have designed this entire platform, and that is taking our whole body of work and then using AI to extract from it and to synthesize and to answer questions. And I think that AI is fantastic for taking a body of work and pulling from it and synthesizing. And I mean, the time I am saving in curriculum design, the time I am saving in actually, I'll take a program that I did for 40 people and I'll go, okay, it's 10 people now, and I need a timeline, and we've got one day instead of a day and a half. It happens like this. The amount of time I think people like us spend designing curriculum and working out the fine details, right? This is done in an instant for me. Now I can refine it from there, but it's a godsend, really.
And
So
it doesn't take
I,
away. I mean, and I think this is like what I am experiencing is it is really helpful, but it's not replacing me and my thinking and the way I want to do things and the way I connect with people. Like, of course it's helping. Of course it's making things more streamlined. And
it
I think
is,
what we're also seeing is it's not really replacing people at this fast rate that everybody was expecting. You know, like when computers came out, it was like, oh, we're all going to work 4 days a week now and have more time to do the stuff that we
yeah,
enjoy.
that happens.
You know,
We're all working so much less. Yes.
yeah,
I think it's such a strange phenomenon too, because it's like wanting anybody who's used AI ever at all, if you've used AI ever, once you review the work, you're like, oh, that's not what we meant. No, that's not exactly where, oh, that didn't get the right intention. And I think this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think it's very interesting. And for not to be derogatory, but the tech bros are like literally all the people who lack some level of like social interaction, right? They don't have great like social skills.
high on the
So they
interpersonal
have this
skills.
concept that you don't need those things. Those things aren't important. We can't completely replace people. And sorry, but this is just data is coming out and showing us. In fact, it's not true. Not only do you need some oversight over computers because they are imperfect,
Yeah.
but the reality is some of these things I uh, I saw Netflix is hiring for like a communications expert, like a liberal arts degree, and they want to pay the person 300 plus $1,000 a year, right? They have plenty of coders. What they don't have is people who know how to speak and connect to people. So I don't think
I
that
could
people
not agree with you more. Yes.
going,
It just, the level of social anxiety and the dropping in the steady decline of relationship skills that I'm seeing. I've been working with people for 30 years, and I have never seen this kind of anxiety about relationships and interactions and meeting new people. And I mean, I have a young adult program. I work with people between 20 and 30, and for this year-long program. And this is what everybody is coming in with. And I really think that AI is not fixing that.
Right, right.
And in fact, technology, I think we can look, I love technology. I said I'm not a tech person. It doesn't mean I don't love technology. I do.
Right.
I use it in so many ways. But it's, it has replaced something in terms of how do we meet people? How do we have small talk with people? And when I say small talk, I mean, that's the beginning of a relationship, right? Like, how do you start a relationship with somebody? Hey, hi, Andy. Nice to meet you. Oh, I like your jacket.
We like
Like it's,
yeah.
Right.
and we find there's a connection, right? And it's like, I think small talk gets a very bad rap in that way. And I think that what I see is outside of meetings, when I'm in person and people are waiting for a meeting to start, people aren't talking to each other. They're on their phones. And yes, yes. So
Do
I
you think
don't
that
think,
is, I mean, some of that's tech and, but is some of that COVID too? Like we got away from talking to each other? What are you seeing?
I think
The younger
COVID
folks, like,
accelerated us.
accelerated. Yeah.
I think this was pre-COVID because
Yeah.
I think you easily go back to,
On the
and
phone. It
let's
was
just
just on
take
the phone.
dating apps when they first came out and they first started. It was take this 30 whatever number death exam. We want to match you on relations and emotions. And then the next iteration of that was, oh, just look at a photo. And if you don't like the photo, swipe it, swipe it, swipe it, swipe it. And I'm gonna include this as well. I think the internet, I think if I can say pornography, I think so you have pornography that made a huge, huge wave where people were just seeing all kinds of things online. And this is not me, by the way, being against pornography. I think it probably does something to your psyche, but this is me saying you're now seeing a thing happening in place. You're swiping, swiping, swiping. There's no more small talk. And I was going to say the reason small talk feels awkward is because no one knows how to like just have like a natural conversation where you talk about things of similar interest or get to know somebody. But all these things have been, I think technology, we say AI, but I think technology in general, long before COVID, had us
Yeah.
sort of moving away from places where we were interacting and engaging with each other on what I'll just call in traditional ways.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. And I think that there is just so much reluctance. I mean, I know a lot of people these days in the dating world who apps are much more comfortable. And the idea of going up to talk to somebody, I've recently learned we don't do that.
We don't do we don't do that.
We don't
Oh
do
my
that.
gosh. It's like
It's weird, right? I
yeah.
have heard this.
Like
These
an
are
off the
words
date.
that have been spoken to me. And oh, what is happening to our psyches? What is happening to our ability? I mean, look, we can go back to the Harvard study that showed us this longevity study. I think that we've probably all heard of that. It showed in the end, what
Socialization.
is the biggest contributor to happiness?
Yeah.
Social.
Relationships.
Yeah. And
Yes,
it's
our
it's
social
funny
connections.
because it is absolutely related to not just mental health, but physical health. You have seniors in I think it's either Sweden or Norway or Finland, I can't remember, one of those countries, where they do partner programs. They partner high school
Mm,
students with seniors, and
mhm.
it creates this dynamic that it gives seniors this socialization. I think it gives a realization and like understanding of young folks too, and it creates this dynamic. And I'm like, we
Beautiful.
are at a point, it really is beautiful. We are at a point now where it is like to what you just said, Debbie. "Ooh, we don't do
You
that."
don't do
It's like,
that.
oh, you don't talk? Like,
No.
you
We
know?
don't
And
connect.
we wonder why there's a loneliness epidemic, and we wonder why anxiety is through the roof, and we wonder why depression is on the rise, and drug abuse and all these things. And it's like, man, and I think we've gotten away from AI a little bit, but this is, I think, such a culmination of how far we've gone away from community. We
Yeah.
no
Okay.
longer have community.
Okay. We've got away from AI, but we're making our way back here because AI, I want it. I use it. I'm in for it. But we have to put it in its proper place, in its proper perspective. And you will not convince me of anything other than the truth that I'm about to say, that human transformation happens heart to heart. I cannot grow and face my own demons and my own shadow and my own difficulties as a leader, and we've all got them. I cannot do that by reading information. And I think that ChatGPT and the large language models, they give us information which can be really useful, but not transformative. Transformation work in our coaching and in how we're guiding people, it happens by being seen, by being known, by bringing compassion to the space, by admitting difficult truths and being held in compassion. Like, there's nothing that can replace this. There's information does not replace this. So people can go down the road of AI coaching, and I think that there's some value to it. And I can give some really interesting examples of some ways I've seen it be valuable. But in the end, being in the room, being together, being heart to heart, being face to face, there's a transmission that happens. There's a connection that happens.
I like how you put
That
that, like the real transformation, the real unlocking, the hard stuff that only happens when we can connect heart to heart, to be seen, to be heard, to be felt, all of that. And yet there is a place for it. So maybe, to the low-hanging fruit of like, I'm struggling with some brass tacks thing on how to work with so and so or whatever. Like, you can scratch the surface on that. You can get some good tips and tools because there's tons of content out there, right? We all have a lot of content that we can scrape and pull and do all that good stuff with. So, like, to help get you in the direction, to help even formulate what good looks like for you or where you want to go and how you want to show up, to start to understand that as a leader, great first step. But that real deep transformation is with humans, right? Because that is the rich experience.
Well, and
Yeah.
it is one of these things that I feel like I've repeated this about 1,000 times this week. AI is a tool, just like Microsoft Excel is a tool or email is a tool. And I think at the end of the day, specifically for businesses, is you have to really go out and figure out what you want, what you're trying to do, and then figure out which tools. Some of them are going to be technology, some of them are going to be your actual leader sitting next to you helping you through the thing. There's going to be a variety of tools that we can use. AI is one of them, and a great one, I think. I know in our business, we have been able to, quite frankly, execute things in such a speedy way
Mhm.
that couldn't have been done before. But it didn't replace having a one-on-one conversation. I can now synthesize that information better using AI. I don't have to, from my own time. But like,
Mhm.
it doesn't replace that. It doesn't replace if someone is, and maybe this is a little deeper than what I do. If someone is in mental crisis, for example, and needs support, I don't think we want to be thinking AI first, right? In that type of situation. But if I'm like, hey, I need some tools for accountability or I need some help staying accountable, I think AI is a great entry into that, right? AI is a great space because not everybody can afford one-on-one coaching, right? And if there is an avenue that people can get support and technology can do that, I don't think we should be shying away from that.
I agree. And I think that it can be a tremendous supplement to one-on-one coaching. I know I can't tell you the name of this system. I can look it up and you can put it in the notes later if you want. But a friend of mine in Germany is studying for a big exam to become a naturopathic practitioner. And she went through a coach who has a program where they had a 4-hour conversation. And out of that conversation developed her goals and her what she's looking for and what's challenging her. And it was a deep and meaningful process and conversation. And then the system creates a whole set of criteria and while she's then studying and practicing things out loud, the system can listen to her and go, no, wait a minute, you
Feedback.
just said this and you
Mhm.
sound like you're doubting yourself, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
it's very interesting. And but it's based again in the human connection. And it that took that person to really kind of untangle what are the knots we're looking at here? Where do you get stuck? What's challenging for you? And then to help track those through AI, I think it's very interesting. And then she'll go back and have another session with the coach. And I think that's one of the best uses of AI coaching I've heard about.
Good
Yeah,
example.
that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I did just hear a statistic that said, because now we're hearing companies coming out with their mandates, like everybody has to incorporate AI into their job. Everybody's, and it's not coming with like a ton of guidance, is what I'm hearing. Like, thou
Mhm.
shalt, but like how you do that, where you do that, why you
Yeah.
do that, more the why you do that. Not hearing much about that. And so this latest stat that I heard was 8 out of 10 employees are circumventing that mandate and not using AI. And I'm kind of curious as to what we think. Yeah, 8 out of 10, like
Mm.
that's a lot. Because I'm thinking, just go on chat and like say a thing or have it use your notes or whatever. So I wonder like what the real issue is there. Like, is it a training issue and people don't know what to use it for, how to use it, or afraid to experiment? Is it more fear based of if I start to do this, then I'm going to be on the chopping block, right? Then my job is at risk.
Mm.
So I don't want to showcase to the organization that will then replace me what this can do, or do we think it's totally something else, just I always think it's the why, in Be Kind Life, we talk a lot about the why in life. And I think these organizations have struggled to articulate the purpose, like why they're using AI and what the strategy is and
Well, you
where.
just said it too, right? Incorporate AI into your day-to-day work. Okay. And to what end? How is that linked
Well,
to what our vision is, our mission is, what strategic plan is, what my goals are? I
mm,
mean, other than the goal itself of just doing it, it's like
mhm.
it
We
doesn't
need to be
even.
cutting edge and say we use AI. Check.
But this is why it's not successful, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you see, I think what Harvard Business Review just came out, and I think it's like 90 some odd percent of CEOs that have done this like massive AI implementation are not seeing any benefits of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe 90 is not the right number, but it's like something high like that, right? Or
Yeah, and people are then turning away from it, and I think it's not taking over the ways that we were afraid of so far. I mean, I've heard other stories of layoffs and AI taking over. There's some of that. There's that happening for sure. But yes, I think people are lost in terms of how to use it, and I think a company just coming in and saying you need to use AI is like, I mean, there's no strategy behind that. There's no why behind that. There's no training. People are afraid of it. I've talked to, I have a favorite note taking system that is like, I don't know how I would live without this at this point. It records conversations and then gives me a summary, and I can even ask it questions and I can tell it, okay, summarize it in this way. And I took it into work with a group the other day, and there was fear about it about us being transcribed. And yeah, I get that. I get that. There are security concerns and privacy concerns, and we have to make. I don't know what to say. I mean, we have to make sure that our information is secure,
Yeah.
definitely.
and I think there's fear about that. Um,
And I think that there's just a general. I do my work like this. I'm 15 years into doing this work. I've been doing this work just like this for 15. I mean, there's a natural sort of change aversion, I think. So I think when you add up this fear of, and some of it reality of CEOs getting in and deciding they're going to slash half their workforce and put it all on AI. I think the fear of that. I think the general fear of, I don't even know, incorporate AI into your day to day work, and you're like, I don't even know where to start with that. All the way to, I just don't want to. I like the way I do this thing today. I'm comfortable in this space. I don't want to change it to something different. I think we're up against all of it. And quite frankly, if I can do my soapbox to CEOs, back to what Rachel said, if you give people the why, help link it to how it's going to be of value to them. Um, Maybe some jobs will go away, but guess what also will happen? New jobs are going to pop up because we've seen this. We saw that. I don't know when the internet. I remember I was coming out of college when the internet was starting to hit really big, and it was like everyone was terrified of the internet and what the internet was going to mean and what it was going to do. Maybe we
yes.
should have been terrified, but the reality is a number of jobs did go away. But then a whole bunch of jobs that we didn't know at the time have now come into place, right? So I think this level of fear, I think that the challenge is we want a healthy set of fear so that we can so we can dig and ask the right questions, right? So that we're not just like robots mindlessly going into the mine. But I think we want to be conscientious, but also understand that change is inevitable. The things that don't change do in fact perish away, right? If you don't evolve, you will in
That's
fact
right.
perish away. And so
Yeah.
I think we need
And
a healthy balance, but it is to the CEOs that have your strategy, communicate to your teams. You will create less fear. You will start to figure out how you need to start retraining your staff, re-educating your staff on new things that need to be done. And then to all the CEOs who think you can get rid of all your people, like, stop it. Who's going to buy? Who's going to have any money? Like, who is going to buy your stuff if there's no money? If people aren't earning, but that's a whole.
have you heard about what IKEA is doing?
What?
This is apparently, no, it's good news, actually. I have not read the report, but I was on just in a meeting with somebody who was recounting to me having just read this, and she was pretty thrilled by it that there's an initiative at AI to replace at IKEA to replace certain jobs with AI, but they're taking those people and transitioning them to being on the floor helping people, actually having a more human element
Heart
at
to
IKEA.
heart.
I know.
My
and
God.
and giving them training in interior design and product training. And I mean, I will want to go to IKEA more if I know there's actually somebody to answer my questions, right? Like I love this example that they're redirecting people. Now I have to read this study myself or this report and get all the details of it. But anyway, I was just hearing that this morning and I'm like, yes. But it comes back. Andy, what you're saying about the CEOs, it's like, I do fear for, depending on what the values are at the core of the company, what choices are going to be made about what AI does and how many people we're replacing with AI and then not giving them new jobs. And I think, I mean, it really, for me, it comes back every time to the values of the CEO, the values of the company. What do you stand for? If you are about making money, period, versus we are about human beings, we are about creating a magnificent, vibrant, creative place to work and have a place for people to contribute and this, vibrant workplace where the human being is welcome. I think if these are some of your values, you're going to be making different choices around AI than just bottom line, we are here to make money. Fine, that's fine. But I do think that the choices that will be made in some of those companies are not going to be what IKEA does.
And also, if you cut employees, who is going to be able to buy stuff? If your bottom line, if at the end of the day, it is about your bottom line, I wish it wasn't. But if it is, all right. So think about that then. We're all connected here. Like, I know we don't want to be, we're all connected. There's a whole situation going on halfway across the world and our gas prices are higher, right? There's a whole, like, we are all connected. And so if we start thinking, unless we're going to completely restructure the way certainly the United States works, where it's like, okay, let the robots do the work and we all just sit and chill and everything comes for free, I still don't think you're achieving your goal, right? So even if your goal is money oriented at the end of the day, you still have to have some level of connection to what that means. What is that going to look like? When you get rid of, if you're, I don't know, I'm picking on places. If you're Oracle and you get rid of 50% of your staff, what does that look like for the local grocery store? What does that look like for, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm in Jamaica. And right now, there's not a ton of Jamaicans that have cars. A lot of Jamaican people take taxis. And because of the oil shortage, they are saying, okay, we're going to have people start to stay home to work from home. Seems like a totally perfectly good thing. Of course, people stay home. They don't have to use taxi. I mean, gas will go down. People won't have to worry about losing the resource of gas. And I'm like, okay, well, what happens to the taxi drivers and to the food shop drivers and to the little store on the side that they get the bag juices from? Like, it is all reverberating. And so the encouragement is, and I think this is really the challenge, and maybe I'm sorry if we're totally off here, but I think the bigger challenge is like we end up also disconnected anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I am concerned about my own situation and what my thing is going to look like to my board. And I don't think about this broader picture of how we are all connected in this. And so I maybe that's the message is like, let's think big and broad. Again, AI a tool.
But I
We
think
try to
that's the scariest bit for me, and I'll try not to make it too political. But like, the people who are creating AI, you've got like a couple big companies that are at the forerunning of the AI creation, these billionaires. And from what we've seen, they're not really caring about the reverberation. So
And
Debbie,
they're not really relationship experts.
they're not relationship experts.
They're
They're
pros.
more and more and more, right? We've touched on all the things. Tech bros who interpersonal relation, but now it's like we're gonna have to rely on the companies that you described, Devi, to say our culture is different, to be that gap, to say this is our values, this is what matters, or else we do end up in that trickle situation that you've just described. So are we putting we're putting a lot on companies here to say we're not going to listen to these guys who are doing the thing and looking out for their own pockets. How do we get those middle folks who have a lot of power to figure out what to do with AI? And this too, if I can be bold, and I'll just say it, like, I mean, is this where the government gets involved? Like, is this where we start to regulate stuff? Where is the regulation? We regulate a lot of stuff. So where does that come into play to really protect the bigger ecosystem of us as a species? Like these are big questions, which is why I think people are scared.
Yeah.
Honestly, again, the data is already coming out and AI is barely anything. I saw this amazing graph the other day when they talk about like, we think AI is so pervasive, but we're in such the small percentage, right, of people actually even using it even being used globally. But even in this, where everyone has made this big push and this big rush, I mean, I would say probably we're 5 years into AI and it's made obviously crazy advancements. But even 5 years in, we're like, oh, it's not working like they thought it was working. There was a study that just came out this week. The head of NVIDIA, Jack, I can't think of his, but the head of NVIDIA was like, oh, I think it's the head of NVIDIA. Let me say,
Yeah.
okay. It was basically like AI is more expensive now than a human worker. AI is more expensive than a human worker. Now, what that is going to do, it is going to force people to go back and say, I think what we've been saying along the whole time here is, how can AI, what is our strategy? What do we want to do? How can AI and these other tools help us get there? It's going to, I think this race to like eliminate humans because robots were going to be abound, they're seeing that that's not the case. And it's not proving to even be as cost effective, I think, as they once thought it was. So I'm not sure that we're going to need the government. I mean, I do think the government, this is the government's job is to protect
humanity, right? Yes.
Yeah. But I don't even think we're going to need to see it because it is proving that it is not going the direction they want. So I think we're going to see a rebound, and AI is not going away. Don't get me wrong. We're still going to be using it. We're still going to be using it effectively to do some things that we can create capacity and space for other things now to be done that do require, I think, humans to do.
So Debbie,
And
where
I
do
think-
you see the big? Oh, go ahead.
I was just hearkening back to Andy. You talked about the loneliness epidemic, and I think, who cares about this, right? Like, who are the people who are actually going to care about that? And who are we relying on? Because I think it's going to be beyond epidemic, right? Whatever that is, it's the loneliness, the depression, the anxiety, they are on the rise. And who is going to care about that? And actually, I mean, we know like we have mental health crisis in this country. We have a shortage of providers and affordable the ability for anybody to get care in an affordable way. And I hope we're having this conversation, right?
Well, I'll tell you what is ultra concerning to me, because the loneliness epidemic is really only currently affecting one gender the most, right now. And it's usually, and that gender is usually the ones who make the decisions on, okay, we need to do something about something, get something done. And so I think you've hit a very, very important question. And that is, who is going to who is going to step in to save this? I think there's the idea that women should, but we actually aren't having that issue. We have our community. We have connection with other women. We
I
don't
think
have.
we do of our generation, honestly.
Okay.
And
Versus like your daughter's generation.
yeah. And the young people I see coming into our program, like they're isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm going to shift gears on this because this
Yeah.
keeps coming up as you guys are talking. Work from home and work and back to work, right? Everybody's now pushing to go back to work, and there's a resistance to that. And many employers are pushing for folks to come back to the office, and employees are like, I don't want to. And I'm of that ilk. I'm like, I don't want to. Tell me why. Right? Tell me why. But is this the savings? Is this the saving bit of like getting people back to the office so we can have
Well,
water cooler chats and not be isolated?
it seems pretty obvious to me. I don't know. I see this in a very specific way. Give people flexibility.
Yeah.
I think we value this. We value, like, my kids home from school today sick. They're going to be sleeping all day. I can work from home,
Yeah.
and I can.
So what's the
And what
magic
we
bullet? How do we get this younger generation to be able to talk at the water cooler and go out and
They
network?
don't. They don't want to, Rachel, because they
They don't want
actually
to.
they do not want to. They do not want. Here is the fundamental difference. I think we are the last generation. Maybe you could talk. I'm a Gen X, so maybe you could talk older millennial, but I kind of feel like older millennials sort of melt into Gen X a little bit, or Zennials, maybe they're called.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, I think the young millennials and below, they do not see work the way we have been taught about work, right? I mean, can you guys remember being 16 and it was like all you could do to get your driver's license? Well, at least me. All you
On
could,
my
all
birthday, my
just
16th birthday.
happened down. There's
Yes.
25-year-olds that do not have drivers, and I'm not talking about ones that live in the city that can. I'm talking
Yeah,
about ones that will just in California. California is
yeah,
a driving place. Nope, don't
yeah.
have driver's license. They'll just hop in an Uber. They're not interested in driving. I think the things that we valued is not what they're valuing. And I think that's where the real challenge is trying to find what that alignment is. They are not going to get satisfaction at work. They are doing work as a means to be able to do other stuff.
But then
And so
why
they're
don't
not.
they want to interact with people? So forget about the work. Where's the social connection?
Well, I have a different story about this. And that
Yeah.
is, so my oldest daughter graduated from college with a degree in international relations. She went to work at the State Department. And it was just at the end of COVID. And everybody was working from home. She moved to Washington, D.C. She's working from home in her own apartment in a new city. And it was a horrific 2-year experience. And she was just, nobody wanted to come. She wanted to go into the office, and people had the choice to come in, but nobody was coming in. And toward the end of her tenure there, her 2-year contract, there was a mandate to come back to the office. And I tell you, she was meeting people face to face for the first time. And it was like drinking, a thirsty person drinking water. So I
Yeah, so
think,
maybe it's not an all or one solution, because
yeah,
I think find
No,
people
never.
who have community with their Facebook groups where they have a hobby that's of interest. If I said Facebook, so old, but Discord, fine. They have a Discord group where they have, their group of people they have a singular thing that they're interested in, and that's how they connect. I think that sometimes we have to be mindful of what we call connection, because we want to see people and we want to engage and we want to interact, that translates down the same way. I know people play video games and they're on there and those are their buddies and that is their release time and
For
that is their
sure.
connection time. And they have never met this person in their life. It's a
But
person,
feel
one
like
person.
they're friends. Yeah, like
One
invited
person
to
lives in-
weddings, first time they meet in person because they're
That's
so
right.
close. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's right. So
Yeah, no,
I think that I think here's the thing. I think this is we cannot get into a all or nothing, right? I think we
Yes,
have to
yes.
probably look at what are the different groups. Like I'll just pick on men because men, like why is there a male loneliness epidemic? And what group are we talking about? Are we talking about people baby boomers, Gen Xers? Are we talking about Gen Alpha? Where are we seeing and how do we address those issues specifically?
Mhm.
I think that's probably sort of what's failing now is we always sort of want to go like silver bullet and like, oh, if we just do if we just do this thing, then all will be healed. And it's like, well, we probably have to do about 7,000 things because it's not just one thing that's creating the problem. Long way to say I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We gotta have the flexibility. We like that. We know that from COVID, but what is it? I don't know. My daughter's 12 and I can't imagine a time when she does not need to talk to people. Like that she does not need to be out there and making connections with people. It's her personality. I mean, she still does the YouTube thing and feels like she's connected to folks that she's never met or talked to.
Yeah.
But she's very, very social. So I
Mhm.
can't imagine a time when that's like not at the forefront for her. But
Mhm.
I don't know.
Debbie, where in your groups are they young, like 12? Or are they like
No,
young
young
adults?
adults, 20 to 30.
20 to 30.
Yeah, and it's really kind of that I've left home, but my life isn't fully established yet. And we're kind of catching young people there. We have a nonprofit. We charge practically nothing for this program. I'm like, everybody should know about it, really. I mean, it's a very special thing. I'm traveling in a few days up to Vashon Island in Washington to do a group with 9 young adults. They are all this group, I think the youngest is 24, the oldest is 30. We put our phones away for a week.
Wow.
We relate to each other. We share, we cook together, and we talk about this particular program is about working with my own emotions and expressing my own emotions in a healthy way. And some people come into the program not knowing really how to express emotions at all. And some people come into the program really more on the end of overexpression.
Vomiting all their emotions.
Now we need some regulation.
Yeah,
Now we need to regulate.
and kind of coming together and looking at like, how can I work with my anger, my sadness, my fear? And also I cannot underplay the value of hearing other people talk about their emotions in that setting. To hear somebody else say, I feel lonely, hear somebody else say, I feel sad. And people are like, I thought I was the only one.
Feel so validated.
And yes. And AI cannot do this for us. AI cannot bring us together into an environment where we sit together, we dance, we talk about what's real for us. We look at our lives and where we want to go. And I don't know. I think that everybody should have this after they leave home. It's sort of like, I don't think college does this for young people, right? College is something else.
Yeah.
But this is really a place to land and
it should though. I mean, a program exactly like what you're talking about, where it's like, oh, how are we transitioning people? It's like, no. Let's make sure you're taking a math class and an English class and a science class. And it's like, okay, well, what about the social? How do we start to create functioning, well-adjusted adults? That really should be part of the college curriculum. Quite frankly, probably high school too, but maybe that's too much to ask.
There are people, it's like a stretch when you learn how to balance your checkbook in high school. I mean,
teaching people how to be well-adjusted adults takes well-adjusted adults.
Ooh.
Clock it.
Whoa. Mic drop right there. Oof. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that probably the culmination of almost everything we're talking about today, right? Just like too many people probably leaders in positions who are not well-adjusted adults that are now leading a bunch of people that they are now creating, not, from parents to clergy to bosses to, just there isn't right now. It feels like overwhelming to think about that, to think that just who are people able to look up to and feel good about like these people are something I can model, right? I I don't think I couldn't name a person right now. Maybe if I thought really hard, but I don't think I can name someone. And that's really scary.
And I think I come back to we grow and we learn in the presence of others who can see us and hold us in compassion. And when I said that leadership development is human development, it's like I've got to know myself. I've got to know my values, and I've got to be able to hold other humans in compassion and within with equal parts honesty and compassion and directness and love. And
Great.
yes, these are things that it really takes a lifetime to learn, honestly. We're
It's
all in process of learning these things, and I hope that our work, the three of us, is helping people to move along that path, right? To
definitely.
become a human being who can hold others and who can model something for others and who can bring our own wisdom to them. And I think at our best, I would say that's what we're doing.
Listen, we're on the right side of right. It's incremental. And I think the more of us who talk about these things, the more of us who start to do things like you're doing, right? Taking a group of young people and like working through this stuff, I think that's where we're really gonna see the change. Again, no silver bullet on this. I think it's small bits of effort by those of us who are like, it can be better. We can be better.
Be
And guess
better.
what? It's actually okay to be happy and it's okay to feel good. And we can feel these things. We just have to let some things go and work through, as we talked about, emotional regulation on things. I think we talk about resilience a lot. I think the general lack of resilience. How do we be happy in the space that we're in? Like all these things, it's there. It's totally viable to do. Um, I
I
guess we
try
just
and
got to
remind I
put
try
in
and
the
remind
work.
my clients that it's an active process. This deep work is not one and done. We don't arrive. There's not a nirvana.
Right.
Like it is constant. I mean, yeah, we've got goals and what does success look like? And there's this thing, so we reframe the stories that we tell ourselves. But this like deep work of resilience, happiness, all the things that you both are saying, like it's active, it's constant, it's a lot of work. It's why a lot of people don't do it, because you have
It can be
to
uncomfortable.
attention must
Yeah.
be paid. It's uncomfortable and it's sometimes hard. But when you're in it and a bit on the other side of it, the benefits certainly outweigh the pain. But again, there's no nirvana. It's constant, especially for those of us who are introspective. I'd say to a fault. But anyway, well, Debbie, thank you so much for this robust conversation where we've just hit on everything. Before we let you go, is there anything you want to share with our audience or a pearl of wisdom that you'd like to leave with?
Well, you've both spoken some version of there's no silver bullet, and I would say that the joys of being on a path of developing ourselves are far beyond what a pill or a silver bullet could give us. And the companions we meet on that path and the beautiful a kind of coming home to ourselves as leaders, as creators, as parents, that I don't want a silver bullet for that. I think that the process of coming home truly is, I'm going to say, a heroine's journey. And it's a journey. It's not, uh, if you want a pill for that, you
You're gonna
know, even I'm going to say, yeah, there's psychedelic therapy, sure. But I'll tell you, that opens us up to a path, right? It's still not the
Be
silver
on the
bullet.
journey, to go on the journey.
Yeah, it's a journey. And I would say there are people here holding a space to meet you there. There is help available and there is support available in ways that my corporate rates are, pretty high. And my nonprofit, that when I work with kids, we charge $150. There are resources like all along $150 for 4 days, just to be clear.
Amazing.
It's like there are resources. And when I was first in training as a therapist at the Meadows in the 90s in addiction therapy, one of my trainers said something I'm going to repeat here, that she said, "You are working too hard. And if somebody wants this path, if somebody wants recovery, they're going to get that. And how good of a therapist you are doesn't matter."
Yeah.
Right? It's like, it is up to each of us to find our way through that path. And I hope we find companions there.
Beautiful. I love
Like that couldn't have been said at a better time, Devi, to be honest with you, is that there's no miracle worker. I used to love the show with Kerry Washington and the president, Scandal.
Yeah, Scandal. Yeah.
And they used to talk about the white hat. And I remember I had a leader say, "There is no one coming to save us. We must save ourselves. We
That's
have to
right.
put in the work and do the stuff. We have to figure out what we need to do.
That's right.
There is no white hat coming to save us. There's support to help us.
There is support and companionship, and we must save ourselves.
But at the end of the day, it is on us to make the decision on what we're going to do next. So this is a great discussion. Again, super pingy. It'll be interesting to see how this gets edited together.
Yeah.
But I just really appreciated this conversation today, Debbie.
I did too. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'd like to continue the conversation over a glass of wine this evening with you.
Yes is always our answer to that question, for sure. We will continue the conversation, and we are very grateful that you are now part of our companions along our journey. So thank you so much. A true gift.
So much.
You're wonderful. And until next time.